The Holodomor was a man-made famine or genocide against Ukraine, which was a part of the USSR from 1932 to 1933. In just 1 year, 3.9 million Ukrainians starved to death. Wheat quotas were set impossibly high for farmers, and all food was confiscated from these farmers when they did not meet these quotas, starving them to death. All while religious and political figures were arrested or executed. This was an intentional move by Stalin, who viewed Ukraine as a threat to the USSR politically and culturally and wanted to align them with his agenda. If you've never heard of the Holodomor, that wouldn't be surprising. As someone with family from Ukraine, I didn't know about it until only a year ago. To show this, I asked some of my classmates if they knew what the Holodomor was.
No. I do not know what the Holodomors were.
With history repeating itself with Putin's invasion of Ukraine, it is crucial to understand how Ukraine was culturally and politically repressed in the past through genocide. In order to better understand the Holodomor, I interviewed my grandmother. Her parents grew up in Ukraine during the 1930s during this famine. Was your family directly impacted by the Holodomor, and how so?
So during that time, my father's stepfather died from hunger, and his little sister, she was 2 years old, she became blind. She was blind for several years. Later on, her vision gradually returned.
How do you think the Holodomor affected Ukraine as a whole during this time period?
Really hard on them. It was hard to the point that people resorted to cannibalism. Not necessarily they killed, but they ate corpses. It was horrible for morale. It was horrible for Ukraine identity. It was, they imposed much bigger quotas of grain on Ukraine than other places in Soviet Union. It's just almost like they wanted Ukrainians to perish, and millions died. Not just in Ukraine, but mostly in Ukraine.
When I heard about this, I was shocked by the brutality and experiences that my relatives had to face during this time period. As a result, this brought to my mind, why do we not learn about this? Part of this was due to heavy Soviet cover-up until the final years of the USSR and a repression of the press during this time period. Even after this, low numbers of Ukrainian immigrants to America meant this was never just given importance. This cover-up is just another example of cultural oppression, and it's tragic that these victims were not able to share their experiences with the public for over 50 years. So how can we stop things like this from happening again?
To avoid repeating history, people need to be informed of events of the past. The Holodomor was an event forgotten by many, and we can see it being repeated in the present. Informing people about what happened in the past will allow them to make connections with the present. This can make them realize the horrors of the events happening now and help avoid the tragedies that are coming. With that in mind, awareness is very important. Being aware of current and past events is crucial to make a change. We could start by informing people about the Holodomor and the current state of Ukraine. Although it won't make an immediate change, it will help little by little. Bringing light to what is happening in Ukraine can expose the harsh conditions that Ukrainians are living through right now and help gain support for them. By promoting awareness, even if it's gradually, we can pave the way for significant actions and unity to be made.